We know why they're here. Syuri
Man.
versus Giulia.
Syuri versus Giulia. So I look, I gave this match 5 stars. I saw that Meltzer gave it 4 3/4, and like people were asking me like, what's it gonna be? Want to know my reaction was to it. And it's like, well, he's only ever given 2 starting matches over 4.5, so like it's pretty damn good. Given how however he rates for stardom, I just don't think he knows storyline, so he's not as invested. So it is what it is. But I thought this was a special match. I thought this was the best starting match of the year. I think it's obviously it goes without saying. I think it's one of the greatest starting matches of all time. Um, and I thought that like the emotion and the story of it in the closing stretch was just phenomenal. Like I could talk about like that crazy bump they did off the ramp. It was crazy. It was insane. I was horrified watching it. I thought they were only just gonna, they were gonna tease it and then do a power driver on the apron, which would have been a much safer option. A power driver on the ramp over
They
what they
instead
did.
went. I would say they instead went for a power driver through a Japanese table.
Yeah. So the closing stretch, like it in retrospect, like it was telling the story of one Julia's failure to beat Syuri earlier in the year because she, early in that match in March, like she hit her with a normalized bomb and couldn't put her away then. Um, and Julia and then Syuri got up and proceeded to beat her ass and then beat her with the one wing Emerald Flosion. Um, and then this match, like Syuri gets to the point to the one wing Emerald Flosion, hits it, and then like Giulia kicks out. So then at some point, Julie or Syuri's like, all right, well, fine then. I'll just do it. I'll just do like the who was it? I think it was it Vikingo and Omega? Was it Vikingo and Omega when Omega hit the second rope one wing angel?
That was Laredo Kid.
Laredo Kid. So Syuri goes for a second rope one wing Emerald Flosion, and like
Turns this
Giulia
shit
counters
around.
out and hits
Power bomb.
what do you call it? What do they call those power bombs come off the top rope? I forgot what they're called. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm
But
not sure.
turns into
Splash
a
Mountain.
power bomb. I can't remember. Whatever. Turns into a power bomb off the second rope. Great. And then like Syuri's more or less done. She's holding on to kicking out of stuff until she hits it with a big move. And like, like Giulia hits Micah's Inko Toshi, can't get the W. Which, Syuri and Micah had a Red Belt title match in November that was awesome. Giulia hits Syuri with the running falling power bomb like Himeka's finish that like Himeka couldn't put Syuri away with in her 3 chance she had this year. And like then she hits basically like an updated like a arm trap version of a Northern Lights bomb she calls Vermilion now.
That shit
And
was brutal.
yeah, and dumped around her dome on her neck and her back of her head and got the win. And I was like, this is the best of Stardom. Like you compare this with like the closing stretch of like the Tam and Giulia match from the Grand Prix final, where it's like the level of storytelling and in depth from like between these particular people and the story they told is like people told me this Giulia woman wasn't good when she first came in.
I'm
She's one of
glad
the
you.
best wrestlers in the world now.
I'm glad you mentioned that, James, because um, besides Shuri looking like a movie monster in this, like where she just wouldn't stay down after
Right.
big move after big move after big move from Giulia. Giulia came through, and I think her Stardom career, despite the setbacks and things that they've had to change with her, this has all led to perfect timing for her. And we lost the fact that she got to feud with Han Kimura. We'll never know what happened with that. We lost her Grand Prix in 2021, which this whole
You're
thing.
also missing a part. You're also she was supposed to face Arisa Hoshiki after she won the Cinderella tournament in 2020, and that went up in smoke too.
Yep. And she, she had that big injury, and they caught. And what happened was, like, Syuri and Utami was catching fire last year, and we didn't have to sacrifice that because they just moved Giulia out the way and reshuffled her a couple times, and she went through the whole thing with Tam, and then had the group dissipate around her, and she's still dealing with people just not liking her in the domestic side, in the Western side, just from how she left Ice Ribbon and all that, and it's about a check at the end of the day. So, like, I think Giulia's, like, path has been very linear. I feel like all this stuff is well earned for her, and all she's done is, like, just have rough physical matches, and I think she's gotten over a lot to the Western audience. I see, like, a lot of, like, regular normies talking about Giulia, and I don't know if they necessarily know why they're talking about Giulia yet, but I think a lot of that may come, because of the aesthetic and everything like that. Whatever,
it's definitely
right?
because of the aesthetic.
But, like, when you look beyond that, if you're watching Giulia regularly, it's almost not even a thing, because it's like she's having these fucking wars all the time, and then, like, think about her and, like, the stuff that's set up for her. Like, obviously she's gonna get back, to wrestling against Tam. She's gonna fight Suzuki probably, and then like anybody that has to try to elevate to get to her level now, like, could she wrestle Kamatani next year? Sure, that could happen.
All them draws in a row they've done. They have to have a Mayu match eventually.
They've always protected Utami and Giulia. I believe that's never happened, if I'm not mistaken.
Never happened.
So, like,
never happened.
She's got a host of fresh matches, and she has, like, I think she's like everything is timed up perfectly, because we got a year of Syuri as the fucking champion, and Syuri just goes down with. Is that the best red belt reign ever? Like, or was it the Utami one?
It's either her or Utami.
Yeah, so, like, coming back to back, that's a lot of pressure to follow those two. But the promotion is set up in a way for her to do it. Like, they've always wanted Giulia to be in this position. And, it's... if you're hating on Giulia still, I don't know, man. You gotta kind of, like... You gotta deal with it. You gotta live with it at this point. Like...
I think that, like... by the time she got to the white belt, or at least by October of 2020, I think most people have already had shut the fuck up about it and was over it, because how good she was, her and Tam, and like her and Hannah was before Hannah's unfortunate passing. I think she had already shut all that stuff down, and, like, she was gonna be okay. And, like, by the time you got to the end of the that Cinderella tournament that she won, like, it was obvious that, like, the crowd had finally, like, got, reacted to her and, like, took to her. That's the way I'll take it. They finally took to her, because, like, they were kind of holding their arms crossed, and, like, weren't really embracing her in that way until that moment. And, like, I think a lot of it had to do with, like, when she came in, Hannah didn't do her no favors on promos, big leaked her, or whatever else, and, like, you could see that, like, Giulia confidence was kind of, like, taken at times, as far as, like, wow, these people are really mad at me, like, as far as, like, my transfer, if you will. And I think all that was done by the time she had she had beaten Nasco in the final, and they set it up, they put Nasco in there, right? It's like they knew exactly what they're doing. Ain't nobody rooting for Nasco except for Velcage, right? So yeah, like, she won it, and the people took to her, and she was also, like, affable at the time. And, like, what, I would have liked it. I remember when she said, like, I would have liked to see what Nasco's dress would look like. And the crowd chuckled at that, and that was like, okay, the crowd's finally into her in that way. Like, and, Nasco using chain and all that kind of stuff, and then Giulia getting the chain, and then Giulia throwing the chain to Nasco, and was like, fuck that, I don't need this chain, I got these. And these, over the last 3 years, have taken the number of fucking success over and over and over. And, like, I think for a lot of people, she's a lot of people's favorite Stardom wrestler, and she's not done nothing but earn that over these 3 years. And, like, it's been 3 years. The kind of restraint you have to have as a booker to have someone that you think is actually the person, or is one of the two people, and, like, be able to hold it off for 3 years.
And not force it, not fuck it up, not, like to actually put this person through, like, legitimate feeling adversity, and, like, give them cool kind of side quest stuff. Like, bro, Giulia and Suzuki comes out of nowhere, like, and then it's just like there's something very fucking interesting here aside from her regular arc. Like, this is shit that Vince McMahon couldn't have done in his fucking wildest dreams with Roman Reigns in 2015.
He had the time because John Cena didn't leave in 2018. He could have done this. He immediately just went straight through with it, and it took us 6-7 years to finally like get Roman to where he should have been the whole entire time. So yeah, like that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I did think of that thing where it's like, you have somebody that's unfuck-upable. All you have to do is like not make it so fucking obvious to where the crowd just going to reject this person. You gotta go to some. Look, Rossi and Giulia, they took it the hard way. Like they just did. Yes. Like just flat out. Like Giulia came in and and obviously they thought they were wary of the limitation she had at the time. Like we know what's like they put Syuri with her for a reason, right?
And
Syuri was the insurance policy that was like if she can't.
She put Syuri over like a god after the match on the mic. I implore everybody, watch the translations on Stardom World after when you see this. Like, when you talk about someone being grateful for somebody and coming into their career, and yeah, that's it for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but watching it live, just seeing both of them with the ugliest cry face. Which, look, I gotta say, nobody is an uglier crier than Syuri. And I love every time I've ever seen her cry, because she is a crier. She cries not regularly, but like it's not uncommon to see her cry. When you see it, it just hits you where it's like you just end up feeling what she's feeling at that time, whatever moments of happiness it is at time. Like when Ami at one of the New Bloods won the Futures belt. And you see, they cut look, she wins the belt, and I was like, I remember in my mind thinking, like, I bet Syuri's crying her ass off. And the camera really cuts to Syuri, like, at ringside, bawling her eyes out. And I was like, ugly crying as usual. I was like, yep, that's a great picture. That's a great moment. But, like, they both in there, and they just crying up a storm. And I heard the word senpai, and I was like, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Right? Just like, obviously they knew each other with Syuri and Ice Ribbon at times, working programs with like Risa Serra, but like when they did the Don Mano thing of bringing in Micah and bringing in Syuri, like that was absolutely an insurance policy. It was like, if Giulia's not up for it to that extent yet, it is very similar to like Tokyo Cyber Squad when they put Konami in Jungle with Hannah, where it's like, we believe in her, but if there's any type of issue or little stumble or whatever else in the ring, we will put two people in here that will make sure that this shit will be on point. And like Syuri was an insurance policy because like Micah was a rookie, well basically a rookie at that point in time, and like to see all three of them get to where they are, but like especially Giulia, because we're talking about her, like to see her go from we not really, we need an insurance policy that is Syuri to this is like, this is absolute like success of growth and being able to see somebody before they are actually at that point and be able to identify that person and then pull the trigger with them and then like be able to manipulate the crowd with storytelling to where like this person does not feel overpushed, even though at times like how OP at the beginning of this year's Don Mano was 7 of them.
Team. They had a fucking 92 dream team in a stable.
Yes, and at no point while being a Tam fan, while being a Mayu fan, did I ever feel like this is bullshit. They're too OP. They're beating the hell out of people. It was like, okay, they'll need to adjust or whatever else. There's 7 of them, and there's 7 stars, but like, well, they'll figure that out, right? Because like it was Giulia, Syuri, Micah, Himeka, Natsupoi, Mirai, and Tekla. What? All of them are going to be number 2s or number 3s at worst in this promotion and factions. So it was like, this is OP, but like they made it work. They obviously broke it up. Obviously, you have Natsupoi and Cosmic Angels. You have Mirai and Syuri and Gonzai. They solved it. They made them more. They've nerfed them and made them like a normal faction now. So like, yeah, to see all of that, and it was based off of Julia has already been ready, but now we are 100% sure that like there is no question, and like Mike and Himeka have done nothing but improve over this year, as especially Himeka as a singles wrestler. It's like she's a perfect 3 now, in Stardom, and like I've just been so happy with this story and everything, and like I remember telling you like I thought it. I think I told you, I don't know if I told you on air, but it's like I almost wrote a Giulia Syuri thing at their Sumo Hall show in March, and I held off on it. And then like once she won the Grand Prix, I was like, I'm definitely gonna write it. I just never got to it because like I actually came here, so like I didn't have the there was so much shit going on I couldn't actually write the piece, but like there was so much, and then like see them together and they both ugly crying, all that kind of stuff. It was like I really wish I had found more time to have actually had written that out, but like it's all there. Like it was all there the whole time, and their relationship and everything, and like it is literally like everything I thought about. It felt like they put that into that match in the year, and I thought it paid tribute to like, their relationship, Donna Del Mondo and Shuri's title reign, facing all of them in Donna Del Mondo at different times, and like you mentioned, like Shuri's path Julia's path with the red belt, like there will be there's a reason why they put the last 2 years they put Micah in the opposite block from Giulia. There's a reason why this year Himeka was not in the same block as Giulia. Like we're gonna get Giulia, Himeka, Giulia, Micah in red belt match this year, and they're gonna be fucking awesome too. So yeah, I'm all in and ready for like Giulia's red belt reign. It's gonna be fucking fun.
Yeah, man. And Syuri comes off it, and I just want to talk about Syuri for a second. So. The Wonder of Stardom title, Syuri was champion for 365 days. So she began by winning the title. In my mind, the greatest match in Stardom history. Syuri defeats Utami Hayashishita. After that, she defeats Mirai. Then she defeats Giulia. Then she defeats Mayu Watani. Then she defeats Himeka. Then she defeats Risa Sera by TKO. Then she defeats Momo Watanabe. Then she defeats Tam Nakano. Then she defeats Nanai Takahashi. Then she defeats Micah. Then she defeats Utami Hayashishita again before dropping it off in style here. What a fucking run for Syuri.
Yeah. What's the worst match out of that?
The Risa Sera match or the Nanai match, maybe?
Yeah. And like the Risa Sera match, for some people, they think it's like one of the better matches in Stardom because it's a sprint. It's just a mindless sprint that goes 13 minutes. For other people, it holds them back on them killing, give them a great rating. I gave it 4 1/4 because it was so short. Then when when I remember that match, and I was like, they could have gone 10 more minutes. The Nanai match. That match comes down to 2 things. Are you a normal wrestling fan, or do you hate this woman's guts? Because if you are a normal wrestling fan, you think that match is you think that match is great. But if you hate her guts, you're going to slap some 3.5 thing on it and pretend. So, like, yeah, like, Syuri had an excellent title reign. It was all, and you look at some of those offenses, it was all in service of getting the belt to Giulia, so they could go down that closing stretch with the Donna Del Mondo stuff. And I thought that, like, I took pictures of Syuri walking out that ring, and I was just like, this might be my favorite red belt champion.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen
it was like she was born to wear that shit, like, with the gear, like, and everything. Like, nah, man, this is the champ. Like,
well, look, man, the think of that match, and then at the end to find out that like Giulia named this match or named the finish her new finish Vermilion, like that is the particular shade of red that Syuri wears. Like this is all dedicated to Syuri. Like when we talked about that Ospreay G1 match with Okada, where like this match is a love letter to the greatness of Okada over the years, where he does all of some of his greatest rivals finishes to try to beat him, and they can't do it or whatever else. Like this is what this DDM run of moves was for the red belt. This is like a self-referential to like this is the greatness of what Syuri's run was. Is like some of her greatest matches, some of her greatest opponents during this span. Like these Giulia's trying to use it, try to get her out of there, and Syuri's kicking out this shit because Syuri's the fucking best. And to see like her go out like that and like put both of them put everything into that match because of how much they love each other for real. Yeah, I thought it was great. And
all I'm gonna say is this:
I gotta say,
do not downcycle Syuri how y'all did Utami this year. I still need to see quality Syuri.
So had I not been in the building, I would have cried. I stopped myself from crying because I was like, I can't. I'm in a foreign land. The people will be like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy? What the fuck's wrong with him?" I just can't. I just couldn't. But I wanted to cry. It was awesome. And like to see Syuri just go out like that. I was
back
like,
on the train.
Super impressed.
Just wait till you on the train on the way back.
Yeah, wait 30 minutes to cry.
Delayed tears, you know.
No, that'd be even worse. Like that'd be even worse. What the fuck is this black guy in this Japanese?
Somebody euthanize this man.
What is he going
Grab
through?
him.
Oh man. So
all right, man. Let's switch